Please stop, I don't like that. I'm feeling uncomfortable, I need more space. Not around me, don't take it personally. It's just a boundary, that's a boundary. Hi guys, welcome again to my channel. If this is the first time you're finding me on the internet, you're welcome. My name is Ene and this is the gentle space where we basically cover topics on lifestyle, self-improvement, goals, and anything that just indulges on growth and self-love. And you're very much welcome. Please consider subscribing to my channel and hitting the notification bell to ensure that you are notified every time I post a new video. Now let's get into the topic for today. So today we're going to be discussing boundaries, and there's this little song that I know. I learned it from a nursery rhyme. It's called Please Stop, I Don't Like That. I'm feeling uncomfortable, I need more space. Not around me, don't take it personally. It's just a boundary, that's a boundary. And I thought that was such a catchy song that, you could teach children to help them with their own personal development, to help them with their own relationships with people, especially with their parents and all that. And I have found that, a lot of adults don't even know what boundaries are. Don't worry, that's why I'm here. I'm basically going to break it down for you. So before you come for me thinking, oh, what a boundary, is it an ammunition? Is it a gunshot? Is it and especially, when we are dealing with like, the opposite gender, we find that whenever we set a boundary, then there's this sort of confusion or whatever. There is a whole ball game, but it's not as complicated as it sounds. So I'm just going to have to break it down for you guys. With a boundary, what we have is a set of guidelines, is a set of rules that basically communicates and establishes how you are going to be communicating with people that are around you. It's basically a relationship, plug, a relationship framework, if that makes sense. There are people that think that they have boundaries, and there are some that don't know how to set boundaries. There are some that don't even know what it means. What I found is that there are different types of boundaries, right? There's the rigid one, there's the porous one, and then there's the healthy one. And what we are basically trying to find the sweet spot at is at being at a healthy boundary. So a rigid boundary, you'd find that somebody that does not communicate, somebody that basically has a boundary and doesn't say it, somebody that isolates themselves and basically comes up with excuses about why they're isolating themselves. I would call those ones as rigid, as people that have rigid boundaries, the ones that do not communicate what they're feeling. They always give it the silent treatment. They always, trying to block your number and all of that. And then you have the porous boundaries. These are the ones that you find that people can't say no. Trust me, I'm one of those people that I am a recovering people pleaser, if that makes sense. I have struggled with saying no, and I know that a lot of people that are also watching this content also have trouble or have struggled saying no as well. And those ones are, I would call them like people that basically have porous boundaries. And then the healthy boundaries are the ones that communicate their needs. They're the ones that state their need, that state the issue, that compromise, that are flexible. And this is basically what puts them at a healthy state, because they understand who they are. They communicate the issue, they state their need, and then they compromise or find a solution to how they can best work around the relationship with someone, whether it's your co-workers, your family members, your best friend. Everyone needs boundaries. Bear in mind that the reason for setting boundaries is so that you can basically have a better relationship with people. So the boundaries that you are setting is not for other people, it's for you. But in a way, I like to also say that it's for other people so that they know how to approach you without, walking around eggshells or anything. They already know what you stand for. They already know your values and all of that. And, I found that if you want to be able to know how to set a boundary, you have to know yourself. Okay, if you don't know yourself, then there's no point of you setting a boundary anyway. So knowing yourself basically means that you have to understand your needs, you have to understand your limits, you have to understand your values, and most importantly, your values. What are the things that you value? Do you value spiritual stuff? Do you value the religious stuff? Do you value respect? Do you value honor? Do you value, healthy communication? Identify those things and write them down. Make sure that these are clear and specific. And we can't afford to have vague boundaries, because vague boundaries will just lead to complete misunderstandings, especially with your relationship with others at work, in your personal dating life, and also in your home as well, right? So you have to make sure that you are recognizing your emotions. How do you feel whenever you whenever you talk about the things that are crucial to you, that are important to you? You may feel frustrated when extra work comes to you at work. So you have to know, how much am I taking on? How much can you actually offer? If maybe you are told to handle about 5 projects and somebody gives you 5 more, we all know that it's going to end up in disaster, because your cap and your limit is set at 5 and you can't take on more. So how do you communicate that to the people around you? How do you tell them, instead of letting it drain you, instead of being emotional about the changing experiences happening around you? And then another way to get to become more self-aware is to reflect on past experiences. I always mention that journaling is a perfect way to be able to help you to capture the moments, to understand a pattern, to know where somebody may have crossed a line, where somebody might have crossed a boundary that you did not communicate, how that made you feel. Basically practicing mindfulness and journaling and writing these things down, so that you can get mental clarity. When you have mental clarity, it's usually easier to be able to now take action. Okay, so make sure that you are also learning to even use the I statement. So instead of saying, oh, you did this to me, or that person did that to me, no, you say I. You start with I feel frustrated when this happens, and I would like to, keyword, notice that there's always an I in every sentence start. Okay, so make sure that you are saying I feel confused, I feel rejected, I feel, put in your adjective, whatever you feel, you write it down, and then that is then how you now begin to build a boundary. And while you're setting your boundaries, don't forget to actually communicate your boundaries, because that really is the crook of how you are going to establish your relationship with others. Don't just set a boundary and walk around just oblivious to the fact that other people know. No, they are not in your mind. Nobody knows what is going on in your mind. Nobody knows your experiences. Nobody knows you like you. Okay, so make sure that while you are setting those boundaries, and it's not for you to just maybe you meet somebody and then the person now says, oh, let's go for dinner. You now say, oh, I'm not going to do this. No, you're not going to do that. Okay, you're going to basically go with the flow, right? You're going to go with the flow, and then as the conversation or the experience or the event progresses on at whatever time, and maybe the person says something, and I'm going to say, oh no, I'm not interested in that, or oh no, I do not like that, and you can state the reasons why you do not as well. Okay, and I've also found the fact, I found in some conversations where you would basically say, oh no, I don't want, and then the person will say why. A lot of Nigerian guys, let me not be stereotypical, but a lot of people that I have found around, would usually want to ask you why you are setting those boundaries. But you, in your heart of hearts, would gauge the relationship to see if this person really deserves an answer, or if the person, you would basically gauge the relationship, right? So if the person is someone that you see maybe a long-term friendship with, then why not give them an answer, gauge the scenario, the place, and the time of how you're going to communicate why those boundaries have been set, and so on and so forth. You're also going to make sure that you're being very consistent with how your boundaries are going. And that's another thing with setting boundaries. It can be so easy to fall off the wagon. Some people, that especially with people that struggle with setting boundaries, for some other people it can be very very easy, very firm, very assertive. But with a lot of empaths like myself, actually find it difficult to say no. And I mean, I'm really one of those people that find it difficult to say no. I am practicing to say no. I'm literally a recovering people pleaser, and I am actively now trying to work on becoming a displeaser, and I mean, shout out to all of you guys who find it difficult saying no and are really putting in the work to learn to establish boundaries and to basically communicate your values to people. So yeah, I think I also want to mention that you have to also learn to reflect and adjust on your boundaries. Where you find that maybe a boundary may have been too tight, you can always make adjustment, but keep in mind that the most important thing is to ensure that you are comfortable, and what is acceptable for you is acceptable, and what is uncomfortable is also uncomfortable. And you have to make sure that you are communicating this to the people that you form relationships with. These things take time. So as you get to know yourself, you're going to find that your boundaries would need some adjustment. You're going to find also that you're going to lose a lot of friends. And I don't want you to ever feel bad about losing the people in your life. They were only there for a season. They were there for a reason. And I mean, just move on without them, because while you didn't have any boundaries, they felt comfortable walking all over you. And now that you have been able to identify your boundaries and identify your values and set a boundary to how you want to be treated, then they become upset. It's very funny how you find people like that. But you know who you are. Nobody can know you like you, and nobody can tell you how to be. You can only be by becoming and learning about yourself more and more daily. And yeah, guys, give yourself time to be able to establish your boundaries. It's not something that is a do or die. It's something that is a journey, and something that you basically have to trust the process on. You have to trust the process. You have to learn to be patient with yourself. Don't feel bad when you did not honor your boundary at a certain time. No, do not feel bad. Just keep going, be consistent, and ensure that you are basically putting in the work, and everything that you are putting in the work for works for you. Okay? Finally, guys, don't ever try to think of boundaries as a conflict or something that is like an ammunition just so that you can get by life. No, boundaries is a form of self-care, and it basically tries to help to encourage you to prioritize your own well-being. That's the main point of boundaries, to prioritize your well-being and to have a healthy relationship with others. And yes, guys, thank you very much for coming to the end of this video. I'm just going to ask you one question. What's the most challenging boundary that you've ever had to set, and how did it impact your life? I'm going to be in the comments basically waiting for your answers, and I'll be responding as well. So I'll see you in another session. And guys, don't forget to share my video. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to comment, like, and share this video. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye.